that sometimes on the show. You don't know what we're referring to. Do we mean the whole left wing? Absolutely not. Okay, the majority of the left wing is perfectly reasonable on this.
Are they? You and I might have a disagreement here, Cenk.
Yeah, we have a massive disagreement. You give those tiny little leftist streamers way too much
They're
credit.
not tiny little leftist streamers, Cenk. Hassan called the city council member racist for helping this woman move out of that. But like that's not a small streamer. That's a huge streamer. That's not a small person.
Okay, I mean,
do you get what I'm saying?
I mean, what are we going to get into this now? We're going to be like Trump with crowd sizes.
No, but okay.
But hold on, Anna. Hold on.
Okay, but do Democrats come out and push back against that narrative, Cenk?
But yeah, Gavin, cue up the next one. What we got going on over here?
Let's take a look, guys. So as I said, pretty unhinged segment on TYT the other day. I kind of thought there was a chance that Anna might be retreating from some of her more annoying, edgy, like right-wing coded opinions. As soon as Kamala became the nominee, I was like, you know what, maybe there's enough momentum back on like the Democrat side, the progressive side, that she'll see the writing on the wall and stop this ridiculous charade, whatever, in an attempt to regain relevance for the channel. I don't know what she's doing, but apparently this is actually how she feels because she's at it once again, guys. Let's take a look over here. As the emo dragon put on Twitter, this is straight up conservative fear-mongering about crime and immigration. Anna is fully cooked and she's never coming back. Again, that's the words of emo dragon. So let's take a look at the clip, guys, and you can judge for yourselves whether or not Anna is fully cooked.
So what's the FBI supposed to do?
Okay, hold on. You can't make an arrest there because other than making the threats, he hasn't done anything wrong yet.
The threat is a crime. It's a terroristic threat.
Okay, but
100%.
Okay, sure.
But you have to have it locked in a locker that is not in your house. That is in a facility somewhere else. Okay.
I disagree.
Yeah, I know.
I disagree, Cenk.
I know. Okay.
Okay, but Cenk. Okay, look, you and I have a lot of these private conversations. So let me just ask you publicly, okay? As a Californian, as an Angelino, you know full well that right now there is a huge problem with what Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, has dubbed crime tourism, where people are literally coming here from other countries. Okay, they're flying here on short-term visas. They're committing crimes, including invading people's homes to rob them as they are in their homes. Okay, and what are people supposed to do if there are people coming in fully armed, ready to rob them, threatening their lives? They're not allowed to have a weapon to defend themselves.
Also, you know, just to address this, Benjamin, Anna is so traumatized by life experiences and the pushback she got online that she can't think straight. I mean, again, we've been over this a million times, bro, and I do feel really bad about what happened to Anna and with the homeless person or whatever. But, you know, it's kind of like that Onion article from back in the day. Have you ever seen that Onion article, Zach, where it's like friend who got mugged last week, like noticeably becoming more racist now, bro, or something? Like, that's not an excuse to just turn into a right-wing reactionary on this issue. Even if something bad happened to you, I mean, it might explain your thought process, but you're still a political commentator. And again, that's not just an excuse to turn into a histrionic, shrieking Fox News host.
No, Kendrick Lamar, I believe it's the art of peer pressure, right? He has that line where he's like, the energy we bring in is sure to take a flock of positive activists and fill their bodies with hate if it's necessary. They're talking about they're going to go rob these people that don't belong in their neighborhood, and they're going to turn them in from you know, positive lefties to like people who are going to call them the N-word, basically a bunch of hateful white mongers, because what it is it's all optics. He's saying, if I treated you bad, then you would hate my entire community, right? That was the point that Kendrick's anyway. Yeah, but that's exactly what Anna embodies. Is what I was
exactly. I found the Onion article. This one's an all-time banger,
a classic.
Anyway, here's that classic Onion article. Recently mugged friend, a racist all of a sudden.
Dude, that's how it is.
So let's take a look at the very last couple seconds.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I interrupted.
Coming in fully armed, ready to rob them, threatening their lives. They're not allowed to have a weapon to defend themselves in their own home. They have to have it locked away in a lockbox in some other location. That makes no sense.
No, Anna.
Sounds like my grandpa.
Because we're already in an ocean of weapons.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyway, I mean, like, I can understand making the case for self-defense and having a gun in your house. Like, I don't think that position is totally insane or inherently right-wing. I mean, I've even made that case on the show. Like, I've defended people's right to own a gun for self-defense and, you know, have it on their person or on their property, whatever, right? I've made that case. Lots of people have. That's not inherently right wing, but to jump to all of these insane examples and start fear mongering about like, oh, there's just busloads of Venezuelan immigrants descending on innocent people's houses in California to steal everything and then ship their ass back to South America scot-free. Like, what? Like, what is this? Literally Fox News? I know it's a cliche to say she's gone full Fox News, but I mean, honestly, she gives some of the Fox people a run for their money. They should hire her. I'm not even kidding. This would be a huge hit with the Fox News demographic, a bunch of like 65-year-old rich white ladies that have nothing better to do all day than watch this propaganda to freak themselves out, to get the dopamine rush of being afraid. That's what it is. They're addicted to being afraid. They're addicted to being angry. And that's what Fox News does. Oh shit, even though I live in a super nice $1 million house in the suburbs, I'm going to pretend that I'm afraid of Venezuelan migrants, coming in a busload to my house and robbing me. I better have a machine gun in my bedroom just in case that happens. That's what Anna Kasparian told me is likely. Like, what is happening? How is this on a progressive news network?
Listen, Chico, okay? I got millions of Colombians. They're coming outside my house. I need to take care of their business. You know what I'm saying, man? Okay? Me llamo Pacino, Tony Montana. You know what I'm saying, man? Anyway, speaking of Anna Kasparian and her right-wing pivot, I wanted to throw this up here because she calls out Hasan Piker, and Cenk Uygur does not look pleased about it. Okay, this is the same shit. This is actually what I thought Gavin was going to play, but I got to go deep into my bag and pull out a bonus special for you guys because this is about the Venezuelan gangs that are supposedly taking over all of our heavily militarized police all over the country. I don't want to put words in Anna's mouth. She speaks for herself. Let's go ahead and take Cenk, who is on her side. He's debasing himself. Here's what's crazy about Cenk. He's arguing with Anna Kasparian. He might as well be arguing with Megyn Kelly. It makes himself tailor his arguments to deranged right-wing premises, right? And instead of saying, how can we unpack this and understand what's happening in real terms? He buys hook, line, and sinker into the right-wing framework and then tries to backpedal a little bit to make himself seem a little soft. That's called being a lousy Democrat, and that's what people hate. But Gavin, have you seen this clip already?
I have. Yeah, this is another unhinged example of Anna Kasparian just losing it on air. Again, over a thoroughly debunked story. We'll talk about that in a second, but it's crazy that they reported on this in the way that they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and play it, and let's watch.
Leftist streamers, you're not supposed to do the same thing. So here, Octosquiddy's a member on Twitch has a good question.
Yes, it's fake.
Cenk and Anna, please tell us who the left is that you keep referring to and never defining. I'd really like to know as a self-ascribed leftist. No problem, because that we do that sometimes on the show. You don't know what we're referring to. Do we mean the whole left wing? Absolutely not. Okay, the majority of the left wing is perfectly reasonable on this.
Are they? You and I
Anna,
might have a disagreement here, Cenk.
Oh, I'm going to be
yeah,
a petty
we have
bitch
a
for a
massive
second.
disagreement. You give those tiny little leftist streamers way too much
They're
credit.
not tiny little leftist streamers, Cenk. Hassan called the city council member racist
I
for
don't
helping
care.
this woman move out of that. But like that's not a small streamer. That's a huge streamer. That's not a small person.
Okay, I mean,
do you
look,
get what I'm saying?
I mean, what are we going to get into this now? We're going to be like Trump with crowd sizes.
No, but okay.
But hold on, Anna. Hold on.
Do Democrats come out and push back against that narrative, Cenk? Just the mainstream Democratic Party, do they come forward and push back against that narrative? Because you have the Democratic governor denying all of this. So I don't know who on the left wants to do something about it.
I want crime to exist in as violent and as predatory fashion. In fact, every time somebody steals anywhere, the big cabal, the secret club, it's like the Freemasons, but for leftists with a platform. That's Gavin and I get a cut of that, man. It's like royalties from being on a sitcom in the 90s. You know how Sam Cedar talks about getting a check for being on, what was it, Home Improvement? I forget what the show that he was on, Married with Children. He got one appearance on a big sitcom. He talks about he still gets a check from that. I think it's like $35, but a check is a check. Gavin and I, the more people steal, the more chips come our way. You know what I'm saying? The more the ocean breaks. But Gavin, why don't you take the wheel for a second? I have to piss.
Pretty crazy story, guys. Pretty crazy stuff. As you saw, Anna has so much resentment towards Hassan specifically. It's like the third or fourth time that she's directly name dropped Hassan in a super petty way right next to the dude's uncle. That's the hilarious thing. Like, what do you expect? Hassan's uncle to sit there and dunk on Hassan with you? Obviously not. Obviously, at most, he's gonna just keep his mouth shut. In regard to the topic, we are talking about the guy's family member, so I do continue to find that hilarious. Just how jealous she is, clearly, of Hassan and how many views he gets and how much money he makes just playing video games. In her opinion, that's what she said before. Remember, oh, if I knew I could get this rich and famous just playing video games, then I would have done it a long time ago. You know, completely minimizing Hassan's actual talent as a broadcaster, his presence, which is undeniable, his charisma, again, which is undeniable, and his actual chops as a commentator, which are really, strong. He's a better commentator, and he's a more qualified lefty, in my opinion, at least, than Anna Kasparian. And I'm not even the biggest Hassan fan in the world, but I'm just saying it's totally petty. And also, come on, Anna, you don't think Cenk's ever called someone racist on TYT that other people on the left might have disagreed about? Cenk does that shit all the time. He calls people racist all the time. You're gonna sit here over on TYT acting like you're on some ivory tower. We're the only reasonable lefties. It's not like the guy who sits next to me, Cenk Uygur, ever gets passionate and calls people racist or calls people bigots when he disagrees with them. Of course he does. That's constantly been part of Cenk's playbook, and to selectively apply it to his nephew in order to prove some point is ridiculous. It's also pretty funny that Cenk, starts out by saying, I think you give these little streamers way too much credit. Who's he talking about there? Obviously channels like ours.
No, dude, he's not talking about channels like ours. I have it on very good authority that Cenk is not only familiar with our channel, but absolutely hates us. Going back to the video we did early. I'm not talking about the deep dive. I'm talking about the first video we did of TYT where we're blowing up about how Cenk is going on his right-wing pivot. And I believe we talk about the anti-union stuff in that video. Either way, if you go back to the Vanguard video, go into our most popular views. It's like our 8th most watched video. Anyway, moral of the story is I have it on good authority that Cenk Uygur watched that video personally and has never let it go.
Yeah, exactly. Also, when it comes to this ridiculous story that all these Venezuelan gang members are taking over apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado, shouldn't you be freaked out about that, guy? Shouldn't you be freaked out? First of all, if anything, even if that story was true, the only thing about that story that should freak you out is how freaking useless and incompetent the police are, right? Because again, even if that story was true, what would it actually say about Aurora? It would say that their police department is the most useless police department in the entire country. Because guess what? What do police theoretically exist to do? Keep people safe. So theoretically, in a situation like this, guess what? They would immediately come and take care of it, right? They would deal with the situation, right? The fact that they supposedly didn't for as long as they supposedly didn't. Again, the only takeaway from that story would be, damn, I can't believe we keep funding these goddamn useless cops to the degree that we are. This is just another story that proves why that's an unnecessary practice, right? That's how they should have presented it, right? If it was truly a left-wing or progressive news show, that's the obvious takeaway. But it's not even true. It's just a fake news story.